don't be too reliant on data. I recently had a email exchange with a rather large chain, probably well in excess of 150 stores. And I was talking to them a little bit about some products that might have some interest for them. And they quickly said, "Oh, that's great. Send us, we only bring in top sellers. Send us your Nielsen and IRR data." Well, okay. I thought to myself, if you only bring in top sellers, then whatever the next great new item is, you're going to be among the last to bring it in. Now, obviously, I couldn't say that to him. I said, absolutely, when we get to that point, I'll send you the data on that particular product. So that is an approach that's a little too reliant on sales data, only bringing in top sellers, and that, that's important, right? Having lots of top sellers is important, but it's also important to innovate, find new items, constantly be adapting your product assortment to meet the ever-changing consumer needs. Conversely, the other end of the spectrum is not using POS data, sales data at all, right? Most of you have very vibrant, very powerful backroom systems that scan and collect a lot of data, right? Data that you could slice and dice and review 1,000 different ways, and yet some don't look at it nearly enough. And they suffer a little bit from what I call sort of everything in my store sells phenomenon, or observer bias, meaning the observer of that data wants the result to be that everything in his or her store sells. And that is almost never the case. And just real quickly, anecdotally, a few years back, I was working with a friend who is a retailer, operator of a small chain, and we both together wanted to find some room in a store to expand and put in some new wine. There was a very regional wine that was taking off, and it was in a lot of other channels besides convenience. So he wanted to offer it to his consumers. So we're standing there, the operator on one side, me in the middle, and the manager on the other. And I say to the manager, "Hey, let's look at this door and see if we have some opportunities to improve the mix and pull some items out that might not be selling that well." And he said, and I quote, "Oh, everything in my store sells." I told him, I complimented him. "That's awesome. Would you mind running to the back and printing a volume report, a sales report, or an ABC report, whatever it might be called?" And he goes, "Sure." And he was confident. He comes back in just a couple minutes with a great sales report and a wealth of data. Before he hands that sheet to me, forget me for a minute, to his boss, he says, "Well, I guess not everything sells." And it just took us 3 or 4 minutes to find 3 or 4 six-packs. We were standing in front of that import door, and to find and create a whole shelf for some new items that were trending up, and clearly getting rid of some items that were trending the wrong direction. So we have to be careful that we don't allow ourselves to fall victim to that sort of observer bias, and that our management people and those tasked with making ordering and product assortment decisions in your store don't fall victim to that as well.